Don't let them win. Don't give them the satisfaction of any reaction. You've been in this divorce now, you've been going through it, or maybe you're not yet. Maybe you're still trying to figure things out. Either way, you need to get a hold of your own emotions first. Don't give anyone else the satisfaction of triggering you, of making you respond a certain way, reacting a certain way. The best thing you can do is not to react, is to walk away or just simply be. I have seen time and time again in high conflict situations when there have been two parties, right, in an ongoing relationship. And there usually is one person who's more of the aggressor, and one person is typically the victim or tends to take it throughout the relationship. Then they go through the divorce proceeding or the custody battle, and they are in front of the judge or the friend of the court or the mediator. And then all of a sudden, now that's when they want to have a voice. That's when they get all excited. That's when they just want to react and just let their story be heard. But that's not the time to do it. Because when you do it in that way and in that arena, you're going to look like the crazy one. You have been putting up with so much for so long that when the lid finally breaks off and finally just lets go, you look unhinged. And that's not how you want to be. So get a hold of your emotions, get a hold of yourself, maybe get into therapy or some other type of program or mentorship that will help you to truly bring your power back to yourself. Don't give the other person the satisfaction, because that other person's going to remain calm, cool, and collected, and typically be the one to win either in their argument or either with their lawyer. They will look like the one in control. They will look like the one whose story is the more believable one. Because when you're the crazy, quote unquote, crazy one in court, that's what the judge will see. Well, she or he must be crazy. They're not telling the truth now. How could they have been the victim all these years? They look crazy to me. That's what they see. They don't see the whole story. They don't see the you that you were being. They don't see the dynamic. They don't see the relationship that went on for years and years and years. So before you come into court or before you retain a lawyer, make sure you are strong enough so that your story is heard in the best way possible. Because this is all we're doing is telling stories, right? The story of your relationship. You have one perspective, your spouse has another. Make sure you start telling the story that you want everyone to know. If it's custody you're going after, make sure you are able to show through stories, through different, you know, relationship dynamics, why you're the better parent, why the children are better with you, why you don't want them for 50-50 custody with their other parent, why you want the majority of the parenting time. You have to not only prove it, but you have to back it by who you are being. Your identity will speak louder than what some of these reactions will entail or provoke or elicit or will show who you are. You don't want the judge to look at you like, well, why am I going to give this person custody when she or he is crazy? That won't make sense. But here you are trying to convince someone else of your ex's wrongdoing or how they neglect or how they are verbally abusive or just not a good parent, and you don't want your children more influenced by them than they need to be. Well, you have to show valid reasons why. So you have to be the one to show up like the more mature one, as the one in control, as the one who's responsible. And you better have a good story and good history throughout the relationship to show it, to prove it, whether it's through text messages, emails, correspondences, whether the counselor at school knows that, Johnny doesn't do as well when he's with his dad, whatever it is. But you have to be the calm one. You have to be the one that knows from an identity perspective who you are, what you want, and the decisions that you make thereafter. Everything will flow from that identity. And really, when we're talking about identity, that is really helping you to arm yourself and to prop yourself up for the next phase of your life. Because if you're going through divorce in the identity of a victim, let's just say you were at the hands of someone who was not very good to you, extremely narcissistic or with narcissistic tendencies, very neglectful, maybe financially abusive or withholding. Maybe they were even emotionally or verbally or physically abusive. Well, until you learn how to get a hold of those feelings and emotions and you start working on who you are, then you will be able to be in a better position in court, in front of a judge, in front of your own lawyer to tell a better story. If you are so emotional and reactive that your true identity isn't coming out, then that's not good either. Because if you continue to play the victim card throughout, let's just say throughout the entire divorce process, well, then the judge may see you as too weak to be able to have full custody. I know that's not fair. I know that's not what you want to hear, but that's the reality of the situation. Because while you are claiming your soon to be ex is narcissistic or is abusive or should not have the custody of the kids, is not good to you as one of the parents, doesn't co parent properly, is alienating. In order, and let's just say you don't have any documentation to show that. Let's just say this is just your story. It's a he said, she said type of argument. Well, who are they going to believe if you're super reactionary in court, if you are crying all the time or overly dramatic, and your soon to be ex is sitting over on his table or her table and just super stoic, not saying much, just very calm, cool, and collected, and telling their story in a calm, cool, collected manner, basically saying your story is fictional? Who do you think the judge is going to believe? Now, I know some judges are actually much more sophisticated and much more knowledgeable when it comes to these relationship patterns and dynamics. And some judges do understand how a narcissistic tendency type of person does, somehow prey upon the victim. Judges in my line of work have definitely stepped up their game. They're much more aware psychologically, intellectually. They know these patterns, but some judges don't. Some judges don't care. They don't have the time. Their dockets are so full. They really don't have the time to get to know your case. So who do you think would be the more believable one in court? The one who's flying off the handle, the one who is super dramatic, or the one who is more composed? Now, let's just say you have been a victim for many, many years. You are exhausted. You are tired. But then you learn how to handle yourself. You learn how to have the demeanor. You learn how to hold yourself properly in court. You know how not to have your buttons pushed. You know that when your soon to be ex says something, you don't react or respond. Then who looks like the bigger person? Who looks like the better person? While you may have been a victim all those years, you've gotten your act together. You know what to do and how to act and how to behave and what to say. You rely on your lawyer, you rely on the counselors. They can also tell your story. They can corroborate all of the evidence you need. Your story will be corroborated if you put certain pieces in place. So I highly recommend, if you have been in a highly toxic situation for many years or even just a short term, but you really truly want your story to come across, and whether that's because you want more in terms of spousal support or alimony, or you want primary custody of the kids because you don't feel that they're going to be safe in your ex's in his presence or her presence, then you have to tell your story in such a way that is believable and that you look like you are now composed. You are taking accountability. You're no longer going to be the victim of your circumstance, and the counselor at school or your own therapist or whomever will be able to corroborate your side of the story. So it's very important that in these types of dynamics, when it's he said, she said, or she said, he said, whichever type of relationship you're in that you are trying to get free from, that you make sure you put yourself in the best light possible. And sometimes it may take a little longer to line all this up while you're getting your strength. You know, I know some people in these situations just want the divorce right away. But when you're making these extremely difficult decisions that have lasting impact, you want to make sure you are positioning yourself in the best way possible. Don't rush something that you will regret later on. Don't rush a decision. Don't rush to finalize a document. Don't rush to sign the divorce judgment or the custody judgment until you know it's exactly what you want. And you need to become the person who knows their worth before that happens so that you know you're getting everything out of this proceeding that you possibly can. And I know it's not always easy. Sometimes healing takes so long, and the divorce is such a short amount of time. That's why sometimes the healing should start before the divorce process. And if that's not possible, then try to do it throughout the divorce process. And you'll be surprised and you'll be proud of yourself for how far you've come. You know, just because you're going through a high conflict time doesn't mean you cannot work on yourself. They're not mutually exclusive. You can continue to work on yourself while going through the divorce proceeding or the custody proceeding and seeing things from a different perspective. You don't always have to be the one who's triggered. You don't and should not be the one to show your emotions in court. You need to show your emotions with your therapist or with your coach or your mentor, a friend, someone you trust who you know will not be disloyal to you. Certainly do not call your soon to be ex. I know a lot of times people get into these dynamics and the one person they thought they could rely on all those years, they're not there anymore. That person is not there. The person you're divorcing isn't the person that you married. The person that you're in custody battles with is not the same one that you really wanted to raise a family with and have children with. Life is fluid and things change. And along those same lines, you too must change. You cannot go looking to the same person to save you because they're the ones that hurt you. That's when you know you need to look within your own sovereignty, your own self care. Look within, and then things will start to fall into place. Maintain your sovereignty, get out of victim mentality, work on yourself, and things will flow. Try not to get triggered. And I know sometimes my saying that might trigger you, but just remember this is your life too. Okay. And if you need some special help or if you need some mentoring, please call me. I'm here. This is what I specialize in. I help people through various crises, especially through separation or divorce or custody battles. And I can help you become sovereign. I can help you become your best self. And that's what you need, not only to direct your divorce and your proceedings themselves, but also to look forward to a much better life, a much better existence. Please do that for yourself, whether it's with me or anyone else. Make sure you get a hold of your emotions, stop being triggered, don't react, and then you can move through life so much more peacefully and calmly. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. I'm Sabrina. I'm with the Sovereign Divorce, and I'm here to help you become strong. All right, bye for now.